Have you ever been going about an ordinary day, making coffee, driving to work, lying in bed at 3 a.m, when suddenly, without warning, you were flooded with an emotion that wasn't yours? A wave of longing that came from nowhere, a sudden ache of clarity, a feeling so specific, so foreign to your current mood that some quiet part of you whispered, "That's not me, that's him." If this has happened to you, you're not imagining it. You're receiving something real. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what. In the spiritual landscape of twin flame connection, there is a phenomenon that the divine feminine experiences with striking consistency. A phenomenon so well documented across thousands of twin flame journeys that it has earned its own name. We call it receiving the divine masculine's awakening. This is the moment, often unannounced and unexplained, when the divine feminine begins to feel energetically, emotionally, sometimes even physically, that her twin is undergoing his own internal transformation, even from thousands of miles away, even in total silence, even after months or years of no contact at all. Drawing from the deep well of twin flame spiritual teaching, energetic connection theory, and the live testimony of countless divine feminines who have walked this exact road, we are going to explore 10 confirmed signs that indicate the divine masculine is waking up, and that you, the divine feminine, are receiving it. These signs are not vague spiritual platitudes. They are specific, recognizable, and remarkably consistent across the twin flame community. If you have felt even one of them, this video will help you understand precisely what is happening inside you, inside him, and inside the sacred field that connects you both. Let's begin. Sign 1. A sudden and unexplained surge of emotion that does not match your present circumstances. This is, for most divine feminines, the very first signal, and often the most disorienting. You are living your life normally. Nothing has happened to provoke it. And then, without cause, an emotion arrives. It might be grief. It might be longing. It might be a wave of love so intense it brings you to tears in the middle of a grocery store. The defining feature of this sign is not the emotion itself, but its mismatch with your circumstances. There is no trigger in your external world that explains what you are feeling. This is because what you are feeling did not originate in your external world. Twin flames share what many spiritual teachers describe as one unified energetic field, two expressions of a single soul, connected beneath the surface of ordinary perception. When the divine masculine experiences an internal shift, an emotional breakthrough, a moment of grief or revelation as he begins his own awakening process, that energy does not stay contained within him. It moves through the shared field. And because the divine feminine is, by her very nature, more energetically porous and receptive, she is often the one who feels it first. You are not being irrational when this happens. You are not manufacturing emotion out of nowhere. You are receiving a transmission and learning to recognize it, to say to yourself, "This feeling is not entirely mine," is the first step in understanding the deeper communication happening between you and your twin. Sign 2. Vivid, specific dreams featuring your twin that feel more like memory than imagination. Ordinary dreams are fragmented. They blur and shift and rarely hold together with narrative coherence by morning. The dreams that arrive during a divine masculine awakening are different in kind, not just in content. They are sharp, sequential, detailed in ways that dreams typically are not, specific rooms, specific conversations, a specific look in his eyes that you remember with uncanny clarity hours later? Many divine feminines report dreaming of their twin during exactly the periods when, as confirmed later through contact or coincidence, he was undergoing some significant inner shift, a moment of insight, a decision to finally face old wounds, a turning point in his own spiritual path. The dream becomes a kind of energetic bulletin, delivered while the conscious mind is quiet enough to receive it without resistance. This happens because the sleeping state lowers the walls that the waking mind keeps carefully constructed. During sleep, the energetic connection between twin flames operates with far less interference. What the divine masculine is processing internally, often subjects he is not yet ready to voice, even to himself, can pass through to the divine feminine in symbolic or direct dream form. If you wake from a dream of your twin feeling strangely certain that something shifted in him, trust that certainty. It is rarely coincidence. Sign 3. A physical sensation in the chest or heart space, often arriving at the same moment each time. This sign tends to surprise people the most because it is not emotional or psychological, it is bodily. Divine feminines across the twin flame community describe a specific physical sensation, a tightening, a fluttering, sometimes a literal ache, centered in the chest or heart space. It is not anxiety. It does not feel like a panic response. It feels, as many describe it, like being touched from the inside. This sensation often correlates with the heart chakra, which spiritual traditions identify as a primary point of energetic transmission between connected souls. As the divine masculine begins to open emotionally, often for the first time in years, sometimes for the first time in his life, that opening registers energetically as movement in the heart space. And because the twin flame bond runs directly through the center, the divine feminine often feels the echo of that movement in her own body. This is one of the clearest physical confirmations that something is shifting on his end. The body does not lie the way the mind sometimes does. When you feel that specific, unmistakable tightening, with no medical explanation and no apparent cause, it is worth pausing and asking, quietly, internally, what might be happening for him right now. Sign 4. An overwhelming pull to pray, meditate, or send healing energy without knowing exactly why. There are moments in the twin flame journey when the divine feminine feels an inexplicable, almost urgent pull towards spiritual practice. Not her usual rhythm of meditation or prayer, but something more insistent, a sense that she needs to sit down right now, close her eyes right now, send love and light somewhere right now, even though she cannot articulate where that energy is meant to go or why the urgency exists. This is the soul responding to a request it has received before the conscious mind has caught up. When the divine masculine is moving through a particularly difficult stretch of his awakening, confronting old trauma, working through fear, sitting with the parts of himself he has avoided for years, his soul often reaches toward the one source of unconditional support it knows intimately, his twin. The divine feminine, more attuned to subtle energy, feels this reach as an urge to act spiritually on his behalf, even without conscious awareness of what is happening to him in that moment. Many divine feminines later discover, through eventual contact or synchronicity, that the exact moments they felt called to pray or send healing energy aligned precisely with periods of intense inner struggle for their twin. This is not superstition. This is the twin flame bond functioning exactly as it is designed to function, as a channel of support that operates whether or not the two of you are speaking. Sign 5. Recurring number sequences and synchronicities that intensify dramatically. If you have walked any portion of the twin flame path, you are likely already familiar with angel numbers 1111, 222, 333, and their many variations appearing on clocks, receipts, license plates, with a frequency that defies statistical probability. But during a divine masculine awakening specifically, divine feminines often report that these synchronicities don't just continue, they intensify, they multiply, they become impossible to ignore. Spiritual teachings on energetic alignment suggest that synchronicities increase in both frequency and intensity during periods of significant energetic shift within a connected pair. As the divine masculine's vibration rises through his awakening process, the entire shared field between the twins becomes more energetically active, and the universe, ever responsive to the state of that field, reflects the shift back through symbolic confirmation. The numbers are not random. They are punctuation marks placed by the universe, confirming that something significant is unfolding. When you find yourself surrounded by number sequences with unusual frequency, when 1111 seems to follow you through an entire day, when you catch 444 appearing in 3 unrelated contexts within an hour, consider that this may be more than coincidence. It may be confirmation that your twin's inner world is shifting and that the field between you is responding accordingly. Sign 6. A sudden and inexplicable softening or lifting of resentment toward your twin. This sign is subtle, and many divine feminines miss it entirely because it does not feel like a dramatic spiritual event. It feels like relief. If you have been carrying pain, anger, or resentment toward your twin, understandably, given how difficult this connection often is, and you suddenly notice that the sharp edges of that resentment have softened without any effort or conscious forgiveness work on your part, this is worth paying attention to. Energetically, resentment held within a twin flame connection is rarely one-sided in its resolution. As the divine masculine moves through his own healing, confronting the fear and self-protection that originally caused him to retreat or cause pain, the energetic charge between the two of you naturally begins to neutralize. The divine feminine, deeply attuned to the state of the shared field, often feels this neutralization as a lifting of her own emotional burden, even before any apology or explanation has been offered. This does not mean the divine feminine should ignore her own healing process or rush to forgive prematurely, but it is worth noticing when peace arrives unexpectedly. It is often a sign that something real has shifted, not because you decided to let go, but because the energetic root of the pain is being addressed on his end. Sign 7. A renewed and unexpected urge to improve yourself, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. One of the more beautiful and less discussed signs of receiving a divine masculine awakening is the way it often ignites a parallel awakening within the divine feminine herself. She may suddenly feel called to start a new healing practice, to recommit to her physical health, to revisit creative passions she had abandoned, or to deepen her spiritual study, all without a clear external reason for the timing. This happens because twin flame awakening is rarely a solo event, even when only one twin is consciously aware that anything is happening. The energetic field connecting the two souls operates as a single living system. When one half rises in vibration, the other half is naturally invited to rise as well, not through pressure, but through resonance, the same way a tuning fork struck in one room causes a matching tuning fork in another room to hum in response. If you find yourself suddenly inspired toward growth, healing, or self-improvement with no clear catalyst, consider that you may be responding to a vibrational invitation extended from your twin's own awakening. The two of you are, in this sense, always growing together, even during the longest periods of separation and silence. Sign 8. A feeling of being energetically called to reach out, paired with intuitive restraint. Many divine feminines describe a very particular sensation during this phase, an urge to reach out to their twin, paired strangely with an equally strong intuitive sense that they should wait. This is not ordinary indecision. It is a dual signal, the pull confirming that something significant is happening on his end, and the restraint serving as guidance that the timing for outward contact is not yet right. This sign reflects the deep wisdom embedded within the twin flame connection. The pull to reach out is the soul recognizing the shift occurring in the divine masculine and wanting to acknowledge it. The restraint, meanwhile, often reflects an understanding, sometimes conscious, sometimes purely intuitive, that the divine masculine's awakening requires inner space and solitude to fully unfold, and that outside contact at this delicate stage could interrupt a process that he needs to complete largely on his own. Trusting this dual signal, rather than acting impulsively on the pull alone, is one of the most important practices a divine feminine can develop during this period. The connection between you is not asking for premature action, it is asking for trust. Sign 9. A sense of his presence during meditation or quiet moments, more vivid than mere memory. There is a particular quality to this sign that distinguishes it from simply missing someone or thinking about them. Divine feminines describe sensing their twin's presence during meditation or moments of stillness, not as a memory they are consciously recalling, but as something that arrives unbidden, vivid, almost as though he were present in the room. This experience aligns with the understanding that consciousness itself is not strictly bound to the physical body. During meditation, when the mind quiets and ordinary mental noise subsides, the subtle energetic connection between twin flames becomes far easier to perceive. If the divine masculine is, at that same moment, in a reflective or meditative state of his own, which often accompanies deep periods of awakening, the two fields can touch directly, producing a felt sense of presence that the conscious mind did not generate and cannot fully explain. This is one of the most comforting signs for many divine feminines navigating long periods of separation. It is a direct, felt reminder that the connection has never actually been broken, only quieted. Sign 10. An overwhelming, almost certain inner knowing that reunion is approaching, without any external evidence to support it. The 10th and final sign is perhaps the most powerful, because it cannot be explained by logic, and yet it arrives with more certainty than logic typically provides. Many divine feminines describe a moment, sometimes during a quiet evening, sometimes in the middle of an ordinary task, when a deep, unshakable knowing settles over them. He is coming back. Something has shifted. The reunion is closer than it has ever been. This knowing typically arrives with no supporting evidence, no message, no contact, no visible sign in the physical world that anything has changed. And yet it carries a weight and certainty that distinguishes it entirely from ordinary hope or wishful thinking. This is, according to twin flame spiritual understanding, the soul receiving direct confirmation from the shared field itself, a transmission that bypasses circumstance entirely because it is not based on circumstance. It is based on the actual state of the connection, which the soul can perceive long before that state becomes visible in the physical world. When the divine masculine completes a significant stage of his awakening, when he moves through enough healing that genuine reunion becomes energetically possible, the divine feminine often knows before she has any reason to know. Let's bring all 10 signs back together so they remain clear within you. The first is a sudden, unexplained surge of emotion that doesn't match your circumstances. The second is vivid, specific dreams of your twin that feel like memory rather than imagination. The third is a physical sensation in the chest or heart space, arriving without medical cause. The fourth is an overwhelming pull to pray, meditate, or send healing energy with no clear reason. The fifth is an intensification of recurring number sequences and synchronicities. The sixth is a sudden, unforced softening of resentment you've carried toward your twin. The seventh is a renewed urge toward your own self-improvement and healing. The eighth is the dual signal of wanting to reach out paired with intuitive restraint. The ninth is a vivid sense of his presence during meditation or stillness. And the 10th is an unshakable inner knowing that reunion is approaching, arriving with no external evidence at all. Each of these signs, on its own, might be dismissed as imagination or coincidence, but together, woven across the unique fabric of your own journey, they tell a story that logic alone could never fully capture. They tell the story of two souls, never truly separated, continuing to communicate across whatever distance, silence, or time stands between them. If you have recognized even a few of these signs in your own experience, trust what you have felt. You are not imagining this connection. You are living inside one of the most profound forms of spiritual communication that exists. And whatever stage of the journey you find yourself in right now, know that the awakening you are sensing in him is real, and that your own awakening, quietly and beautifully, is unfolding right alongside it,